Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. 4 days ago, I did a video called Top 10 Popular Bands I Hate. And then 2 days ago, I did a video where I show my collection of approximately 5,600 albums and CDs, brought you a whole tour through my archives and showed you, what it looks like. And I've gotten a couple of requests. They said, well, instead of doing popular bands you hate, why don't you do a listing of your favorite bands, artists of all time? And I'm like, that's going to be really tough. I've spent the last 2 days working on that, and I did it emotionally as well as scientifically, because if you know my database, like I did this database printout the other day, and when I showed you all my albums, and I showed a printout of bands and how many albums I have by those bands, as long as they had at least 12 albums, pretty much. So there was some people who wrote, you don't have any Jimi Hendrix or something? Of course I do, but I don't have enough albums by them. I have less than 12 albums by them, so they didn't show up on this list. So that's what this was. So I used this as a factor to figure out my favorite artist by how many albums I have by them, but also some other aspects. Like I have a thing where since 1973, when I started my database, I do at the end of each year my top 3 favorite albums of the year. And I have a database of that starting from 1973, and I did a printout of who has the most top 3 albums in the history of my database. And kind of looks like this. And these were all top 3 albums, and who's got the most. So that's a factor as well in figuring out my favorite bands of all time, artists of all time. Without further ado, I'm going to give you statistics as well as tell you who they are. At number 12, I'm going to do the top 12 favorite bands, artists of all time, according to me, personal opinion, of course. This is my choice. At number 12 is going to be David Bowie. David Bowie, I have 59 albums in the database, and he's had 2 top 3 albums for me. I'm going to show you, when I do these, what I call my favorite go-to album by each artist. David Live was the first Bowie album I ever got on vinyl. At the time, this is the expanded CD, and this album still means the world to me. It was my first one. Now, my sister had Diamond Dogs, which I also had at that time. So these 2 albums are my go-to David Bowie albums. He's my 12th favorite artist of all time. At number 11 is going to be Led Zeppelin. I don't listen to them as much anymore, which may be why they're down to about number 11. No doubt that they're, one of the all-time greats, that's for sure, at the Pantheon of Rock. Led Zeppelin, I have 32 Led Zeppelin albums. They've had 2 top 3 albums for me. And this is my go-to Led Zeppelin album. I got it when it came out. I have multiple editions of every Led Zeppelin album, which is why I have 32 albums by them. But this is Physical Graffiti. This is a 3 CD version of it. But this is by far my go-to favorite Led Zeppelin album, as they are at number 11. At number 10 is going to be Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, I have 89 Bob Dylan albums, and he's actually had 4 top 3 albums for me since 1973. My go-to Bob Dylan album, and I've mentioned this before, I never get tired of hearing Infidels. For whatever reason, this album just grabbed me, unbelievably so, and still does. This is an SACD version of it, but I love Infidels. So this would be my number 1 go-to Dylan album. And we're going to stick that around there as Bob Dylan comes in at number 10. At number 9 is a band I talk about a lot. There you go, David. That didn't take long. It's a band I talk about a lot because they're my number 1 band that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're talking about Jethro Tull, one of the most unique bands ever. A band I never get tired of listening because they have so many different styles. I have 80 Jethro Tull albums. They've had 3 top 3 albums for me. And Ian Anderson solo had 1 top 3 album. So in a way, that's 4 top 3 albums from Jethro Tull. My go-to Tull album is Songs from the Wood. It was the first studio record I ever bought from them the day it came out or the week it came out. and I've never tired of listening to Songs from the Wood from Jethro, Tull. You can stick that somewhere around there. How about that? How about that? Don't fall over. That's a great box. Okay, let's keep going. At number 8, we're going to be talking about U2. I have 58 U2 albums. They have had 5 top 3 albums. And my number 1 go-to album is Achtung Baby. Here is the original regular release on CD. And this is a 2 CD. I guess you'd say deluxe edition of it, and I was thrilled to see them do this live at the Sphere because, man, what a great concert that was. Amongst the best ever. So U2 at number 8. At number 7 is going to be the boss, Bruce Springsteen. I have 83 Bruce Springsteen albums. He has had 8 top 3 albums, the second most of any artist. And my go-to favorite Springsteen album is Tunnel of Love, by far. Still love this album. Classic stuff. Springsteen's kind of original. U2 also to a certain extent. I don't love every Bruce Springsteen album. There's a bunch of Springsteen albums he's done that really didn't appeal that much to me. But overall, yeah. 8 top 3 albums, 83 albums. The boss is at number 7. At number 6 for me is going to be Wishbone Ash. I love Wishbone Ash. I have 89 Wishbone Ash albums. They have had 4 top 3 albums for me. And my go-to album was the very first Wishbone Ash album I ever bought. And that was, when it first came out, a little bit after it came out. That was New England. And this is a German import of that cover, courtesy of Hypnosis. So Wishbone Ash, New England. Wishbone Ash is my number 6 favorite band artist of all time. At number 5 is going to be Dire Straits. And Dire Straits, I have 32 albums. They have had 3 top 3 albums for me, plus Mark Knopfler solo has had 2 top 3 albums for me. So that's like really, in a sense, 5 top 3 albums. But I'm talking about Dire Straits alone. My go-to album, believe it or not, is Making Movies, their 3rd album. But if you really want to experience which one is Dire Straits, check them out live. And this box that I got last year, this live 78 to 92, is a phenomenal live box set because one of the great things about Dire Straits is they really change their sound quite often. And you never get bored with them. At number 4, we are talking Genesis. But we're talking Genesis from 1972, Nursery Crime, to 1977, which is Seconds Out. I can still really enjoy, and then there were 3, and even Duke to a certain extent. But after that, I'm done, pretty much. But Genesis, from 72 to especially 77, is incredible for me. I was into them at that time. So they're one of the few times I discovered them, believe it or not, really was 73, a year after Foxtrot came out. And Foxtrot is my go-to Genesis album for sure. So Genesis, 3 top 3 albums, 63 albums I have by them, and they are my number 4 all-time favorite bands. Number 3, we're going to be going with The Who. And The Who, I have 63 albums. They've had 1 top 3 album for me, and that is one of my all-time favorite albums, Quadrophenia. And this, I have multiple versions of Quadrophenia. This is a 2 CD version. I got that massive mega box set, and I've done a bunch of videos on The Who. They are my number 3 all-time favorite band. At number 2, and it's virtually a tie with The Who. I really go back and forth with them, but if I really have to choose between the 2 of them, my number 2 is the Kinks. And the Kinks also have 63 albums. They've had 1 top 3 album for me. Ray Davies had 1 top 3 solo record, which was this Working Man's Cafe, which is a really fine album. My go-to favorite, to a certain extent, Kinks album is Sleepwalker. I got this album when it came out back in 1977, which is why it's such a special album for me, but I still love it. It's amazing. I think their work that they did on Arista, which really was Sleepwalker, and Misfits and Low Budget when they broke big again in the United States. One More for the Road, State of Confusion, Word of Mouth is an amazing period for the Kinks. People sell it short. People said they sold out. The hell they did. Those are amazing albums. And Sleepwalker for me is super special. They are my number 2 all-time favorite band. Which leaves my number 1 all-time favorite band, no surprise, right? The Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones, I have 428 albums as of today. They've had 14 top 3 albums, which is the most. You may be surprised that not every Rolling Stones release goes top 3. I am not biased, but 14 have. And my go-to album for the Stones to this day is Sticky Fingers. My sister had it when it came out in 1971. I have never stopped listening to it since then, multiple copies. And Sticky Fingers, it just doesn't get any better. That's my favorite album by anybody of all time. So there you have it, folks. My top 12 favorite bands, artists of all time. A positive video. Let's do a quick recap, and I'm going to show you some stats afterwards if you want to stick around. Here they are, my cheat sheet. The Alan Rosenberg top 12 favorite bands, artists of all time. Number 1, the Rolling Stones. The Kinks, number 2. The Who, number 3. Genesis, 1972 to 1977, number 4. Dire Straits, number 5. Wishbone Ash, number 6. Bruce Springsteen, number 7. U2, number 8. Number 9 is Jethro, Tull. Number 10, Bob Dylan. Number 11, Led Zeppelin. And number 12, David Bowie. Pretty happy with this list. I worked really hard on it. I take it very seriously. If you're curious a little bit further, here's the breakdown of my top 3 albums by year. Well, it's by artist, but in case you wanted to see what it looks like. So there's the 4, Bob Dylan, that went top 3. And there's the 8, Bruce Springsteen, that went top 3. No Darkness on the Edge of Town, no Born to Run, no River. There's the 3, Dire Straits, 2, David Bowie, you can see it over there. Some other ones that you may be interested in seeing. And we'll keep going. So these are top 3. I think I skipped one. Let's go back to it. So it was Fleetwood Mac. Oh, okay. Then it went to Genesis. So those are the top 3 Genesis albums. And again, the end of every year since 1973. Not going back. I did these live starting in 73. Every year, still doing it. I picked the top 3 albums by play. My favorites by play. And that's what it looks like. There's Neil Young. And then after that, what's after that? Nils Lofgren. So this you can see. So I really keep a hell of a database. These are all top 3 albums for me. And help me to choose who my all-time favorite bands are. There's the Rolling Stones. There's the 14 top 3 albums. Even Ron Wood went top 3 once. So I thought you might find that interesting. And then, what else? We got Suede. Starting with Suede there in 2020. So, pretty cool, right? These were my top 3. Tom Petty got 4. So he would be right outside of my top 12 favorite artists of all time. The Waterboys got 3. So I hope you found that kind of interesting. I take this stuff seriously, and I hope you appreciate it. So there you go. My top 12 favorite artists of all time. And I hope you enjoyed this video, but I'm not going to use this so people watch it. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please send me your comments. Let me know what your favorite artists are of all time. I think it's a really fun topic, so I hope you enjoyed it. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. And check out the other videos. There's playlists right there. So now you got the flip-flop. 10 top popular bands I hate. Top 12 artists of all time that are my favorites. Have a great night. See you next time.